flour and water and make your dough. Knead it well, let it rise up slow. Put it in the oven like a baby in bed. That's the way to be baking bread.
Welcome, baking enthusiasts. Today we're diving into the world of gluten-free sourdough starter. By the end of this tutorial, you'll be ready to embark on your own gluten-free sourdough starter journey. So, the first thing we need to know about sourdough is that it's a fermentation process. It's a little bit of magic that our flour undergoes, that it starts to grow this bacteria, good bacteria, to give the sourdough bread its tangy flavor. Usually that's done with gluten, but because we're doing gluten-free, it's done with some other mixtures of flour, so it may not get as bubbly, but it still gets that delicious tangy flavor. So what you'll need to do is get your choice of gluten-free flour. We'll also need some room temperature or cool water. Mason jars, it doesn't matter the size, whichever you prefer. You're going to want your balance. You'll also need a spatula and a spoon just for scooping out your flour. We start with our flour. We're going to do 128 grams of our gluten-free flour. Now for the water, I'm going to turn the scale so I can see it. 28, you're going to add 120 grams of water. Now I'm going to get my little spatula, take it off my scale, and mix it up till it's fully combined. Now, if you see the consistency, it's like pancake batter, and that's what you're looking for. We're going to get our lid. We're not going to put it tight. We're going to lay it on top. One little twist just so it doesn't fall off. And then we're going to leave it on our counter for 24 hours. Okay, we're back. So 24 hours later, it doesn't look any different. That's okay. It takes a little while for everything to start growing and fermenting in there. But what we're going to do is keep it freshly fed. So what you do is you take out approximately half of your sourdough starter. You take about half out. I'm going to use Krusties to feed my culture. So for this, I'm once again just going to put my mason jar right on top of my scale. I'm going to zero it out and make sure my units are on grams. It's very important. Now for the feeding, we're only taking half. So I'm going to use 50 grams of flour. Again, it doesn't matter if you switch between flours as long as everything is gluten-free. And then 51 grams of your bottled water. Now I'm going to take my spatula, mix it up. Again, we're looking for that thick pancake batter consistency. Now this process of feeding, you're going to do every day for 10 days, 7 to 10 days. With a gluten-free flour, it usually takes closer to 10 to get that good growth and good maturity. Okay, we put our lid back on. And we do this again tomorrow. So 10 days later, we'll see what happens. Welcome back. So here is the starter we made 10 days later. I'm going to take the lid off. You can see more texture at the top. Got some bubbles going on here. You're not zoomed in. Okay. Now I wanted to show you some other things that could happen. This didn't really activate so much, so basically it needs some more time to grow. The temperature of your house can affect how your starter bubbles. This starter, if you look, is about a week or two after the 10 days, but it has a lot of liquid on top. You can actually look like you can pour it out. But that's okay, that's very normal. You just mix all that goodness in and you're able to use that starter. Then we have this one. These bubbles, you can see all of these. This is a more mature starter. This will happen eventually. And it doesn't have that fluid up top, but when you push it down, you can see the textured consistency. It's also just fine. Now this is my original stock. This is a few months old. As you can see, lots of big bubbles, very, very fermented, very tangy when I use it. And this I would do the same thing as I do with everything else. Mix it around. I would take half of this out, or take half out to refeed it, or you can make sourdough waffles. This required 200 grams of sourdough starter. So I pulled 200 grams out of my starter mix using my gram scale. Followed the recipe, added flour and sugar and salt, and I made myself some sourdough waffles. The only thing you have to worry about is if it starts to get a not good smell. You're gonna smell the yeasty smell. You're gonna smell that raw bread smell. Very normal, keep it going, you're good to go. If it starts to get a little rancid or off, throw it away. It got something bad in it, it's not good for you, just get rid of it. Once the culture's matured and you have keep your lid light, but start putting it in the refrigerator. It has a lot of life to it and you don't want to have to feed it every single day. That gets pretty expensive. So what you can do is put it in the fridge, and then you only have to feed it once every week or so, depending on how quickly your starter grows. Thank you very much for joining me, and happy baking.
I love bread. I love bread. I eat it every day. That's why I'm here to say I love bread. I love bread. A baguette or a bun. Nothing is as fun as bread.
Yum, yum, yummity yum. Gotta get in my tummity tum. This party needs a kick. Let's get some breadsticks. In the club